Hello everybody, this is Carla, and this time I'm here with a review for episode 4 of season 2 of Marvel's Agent Carter. This episode is titled Smoke and Mirrors, and this was an episode that I kind of liked and I kind of didn't like. I mean, it was a bit uneven in the sense that, again, there were things that I really loved, and then there were things that left me kind of disappointed. So I think I'm just going to, just ran through the whole thing, pointing out what I liked and what I didn't like. It was a very middle of the road episode for me, but there were some things that were great, so I want to point that out too as well. Beginning with the beginning, what I didn't quite, and I think this was the first time in the episode that I actually felt like, they shouldn't have done this, is the fact that they keep making Jarvis the comic relief, which is okay. I mean, Jarvis is funny. It's okay that he can have those moments, but I feel like that's all he's been doing in this season so far, and it's been 4 episodes, so we should probably see a bit more from him, I guess. The flamingo thing was a stretch, and, the whole taking Stark around in the States thing, it's okay. But, I just feel like we need to get more from him, and we haven't yet. So it's starting to get a bit off to me. I think they have shown us that Jarvis is much more than just a funny butler. So I really hope they really ramp that up soon, because for the most part he's been just kind of there, not really doing much, not really helping all that much either, other than driving Peggy around, and then he's always the butt of the joke somehow, so it's not that he isn't funny. I laughed with the whole Jarvis thing, I thought that was funny, but there can be more to him, so I hope they go that way, because the way he was the previous season was so much more helpful. Like, even in his limited capabilities, he was so much more helpful, and I like that. The whole kidnapping a man thing was good. I mean, I like the idea that Peggy's kind of willing to step over the line of the law in order to get things done. I like this idea that Peggy's kind of still stuck in a wartime mentality. In a way, it's like she's been to the war, so she knows when you need immediate results, you have to do things that you normally wouldn't do if you want to stick to the law. And she's kind of still in that mentality, and so worried about protecting people and doing what's right and getting the bad guys in jail that sometimes she forgets the law is there for a reason, so she kind of goes over it. So in that sense, I liked the kidnapping. What I didn't like was the whole malaria thing. Injecting the guy with malaria, quote unquote malaria, and then forcing him to tell the truth and give them names. I feel like that's something that's been done before, not in this show, but I feel like I've seen it before, so I wish they could have come up with something more original. And I don't really understand why the guy would actually fall for that. I mean, yeah, he might think he was injected with malaria and that he's going to die. But one, you don't die that fast from malaria. I mean, yes, it's a very dangerous disease, but it doesn't kill you in 20 minutes. Sorry. At the same time, it's like the guy himself just said that he was dead in 2 days anyway, so what's the point in dying now and not later? I mean, it doesn't matter. He shouldn't have told them anything. And okay, I know that sometimes when you're in danger, it's just human nature to kind of just try to, to get as much extra time as you can, but I still don't buy it from a man like he was described. It's like this killer, assassin, hard, tough. I don't really buy that he really wanted those extra 2 days. You know what I mean? It's like, he's gonna die anyway, whatever. So that part I didn't like. What I did like about it, though, was the fact that Sousa backed Peggy up. I love it when he does that. That's one of the biggest reasons why I like Sousa, because even though he would rather stick to the letter of the law, and he does remind Peggy eventually and often that she can't just go around willy-nilly doing whatever she thinks should be done, because the law is there for a reason. I like that he points that out, but even so, he still backs her up because he'd rather, bend the law a little bit than Peggy get hurt. And I mean, as a shipper, mostly I enjoy that, but also because I like characters like that who have a moral center and also have a legal center in a way. He's the one that actually sees the consequences of everything that's happening, and not just the immediate consequences, but also the consequences for later on, which sometimes Peggy doesn't see, and I really like that in Sousa, so I like that bit. Other things I didn't like was the fact that Whitney Frost I think she just started understanding her zero matter powers too quickly. Like, I get that they try to make it seem scientific by bringing in the mice, which kind of makes me sad. Why do you have to kill mice? That's not cute, man. Mice are so adorable and you're killing them. Anyway, that aside, I get that they try to make it scientific with her, like, making experiments to understand what happened, but we only saw the first one. We didn't see anything, not really. And then all of a sudden she can just up and kill a man at will, So I think it happened too fast. It was just like one day. You couldn't possibly have learned to use your powers in one day. I never believe that when it comes up in superhero stories. I'm like, it's too quick, there's no way. So I didn't like that part necessarily. I did, however, really like the fact that Whitney it seems like the zero matter is kind of growing more powerful inside her, or trying to take over, because we do see the crack in her head is getting bigger. So I'm guessing, what does that mean? Does it mean that she's I don't know, does that mean that she's kind of, is the zero matter kind of making her crack? She can't hold as much, and if she keeps killing people, she's going to, like, explode or something. What's happening? It's just, I feel like it's taking over her. It's like that desire to just absorb things is getting greater with each kill. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that is, especially since it seems that Wilkes also saw the crack in his little hallucination moment. He also saw a crack and said that something was calling out to him. I wonder if it's the same thing. It's like he is off the zero matter now, so the zero matter is calling out to him through Whitney somehow. So that's going to be interesting to see how that develops. I also did like that she came out to her husband finally, and what a way to come out to her husband too. I mean, by killing a dude right in front of him, that's got to be freaking terrifying. But I really do like that it kind of shifts the balance of power between the two of them. Because before, the husband's the senator, he's the one who wants to be president, he holds all the power, and she's just kind of an accessory. Now who's got the power? She's the one holding the power now, and it's going to be interesting to see how their dynamic shifts from that. Is the husband going to be terrified, or is he going to be even more aggressive now? Like, what is going to happen? I think it's going to be very interesting to see how things change between the two of them. Another thing that I really liked was Kurtwood Smith's appearance in this episode. Sorry I don't remember the name of his character, damn it, but I love Kurtwood Smith. I think he's a great actor, one of my favorites, and it's very interesting that he's finally showing his true colors. He's obviously he's obviously working for the Arena Club somehow, either because he's being paid for that, or he wants power and they're everywhere so they can get that for him. So I like that idea that we're finally beginning to see that, yeah, he's not going to be a good guy. at the same time, I loved his conversation with Peggy. He knows how to hit her, not just the fact that she might be in danger of losing her career, but also her friends. That's where it really hurts her. So that was interesting. And I also find it interesting that he's kind of taking a grudge against the SSRLA branch with the audit and everything. And it's going to be interesting to see how he tries to cut them off, because he's already got Thompson in his pocket. But Susan and Peggy are not going to be easy to handle. Not like Thompson. I really wonder where the whole audit thing is going. I hope they don't take the LA branch away from Sousa, because he's worked so hard to get to where he is, and he's such a good chief. He deserves it so much, and I hope he doesn't have to give that up in order to help Peggy, because, I mean, I know he would do it in a heartbeat, but that would hurt me, okay? Do you hear me, writers? That would hurt me. But I think, hands down, my favorite part of this episode was the flashbacks. Those flashback sequences were so great, man, especially in a show with such a feminist theme as Agent Carter. I think those flashbacks kind of elevated the feminist theme to new heights for me, especially. And moreover, it's just such a wake-up call in a way, because this show, it does take place in the 40s, so you kind of imagine that you're taking a glimpse into a society that is almost unrecognizable by our standards nowadays. And this is a society where women were treated as second-class citizens. And not only was it bad that men treated women as a second-class citizen, but what was the worst part of it was that women also kind of internalized that and kind of got used to the idea that that's what the way they deserve to be treated. They got used to it, you know, because there was no way they could stand out as a woman, so they kind of got used to just taking what they were given. And I think those flashbacks really do center on that idea. Sorry. And moreover, I really like the way they presented Peggy and Winnie as kind of foils to each other and kind of opposites to each other. Because when we see Whitney, she's such a smart girl. She's a genius. She knows she's smart. She knows she can be on par with any man. She doesn't like her mother's boyfriend, who, by the way, was an icky little dude. Disgusting. And she doesn't like how her mother treats her, like when she tells her that the only way to get a decent life is to just be a pretty woman. And she doesn't like it. And yet, in the end, we see that she is the one who ends up as a model, as an actress, which were roles that back in the day were primarily obtained by being pretty most of the time. So it's interesting to see that she, who was the most rebellious against the imposition society made on her, tried to fit into that society to kind of take it down from underneath in a way. I think that's very interesting. And on the other hand, Peggy, who comes from a good family, who didn't mistreat her at all, who was loved, first started off with these ideas of adventure and fighting with her brothers and that sort of stuff, which, I mean, I think every kid with siblings can relate to. But eventually, as she grew up, she kind of settled into the behaviors that society imposed on her. In a way, she kind of just assumed the role that they wanted her to play, somebody who, although she had a job, she had to get married and have kids, and that was what society wanted from her, which is obviously not bad. I mean, obviously some women are very fulfilled by just being housewives and taking care of their children, and that's totally okay. But for Peggy, she always wanted something more. And I love that her brother was the one who saw that in her, that it was a man who actually recognized she had a bigger role to play in life, you know. And sure, she could get married and she could have kids if she wanted to, if she fell in love, but she didn't have to just do that. And I have to face it, I love the brother. I loved Michael. I hope we get to see him again because I loved him so much. He was so great, and of course he had to go and die because that's just my karma. But I really love that he was the one who was like, hey, Peg, you're better than this. Don't marry that douchebag, because really he was a douchebag. Don't marry that douchebag. Of course, it took him dying for Peggy to actually realize what she had to do in life. And I'm really glad that she actually did, realize, because otherwise she wouldn't have met Steve, she wouldn't have met Susan, and she wouldn't be the icon that she is for women everywhere. And she's after being a conformist for so long, now she's realized that there's a role for women out there, and she's the one trying to break the mold from the in the out, in a world of men, like without any hesitation, she will make sure to do the right thing, not just because she wants recognition, but just because she can. And I think that's great. It really goes to show how great foils Whitney and Peggy are for each other. I really like that. As a fan, as a feminist, and even as an aspiring writer, I love that duality. It was perfectly done. And I do hope that we get to see a bit more of Peggy's history, because that would be very interesting. Like, how did she get her job as a code breaker? What led her there? What happened after she joined the training? I wish we get to see more of that. I also wish we get to see more of her brother, because I really liked him, and I hate that he's dead. But I really just wish we could see more of that. So those flashbacks, hands down, were my favorite part of this entire episode. Definitely the best thing that was done in this entire thing. So in summary, yeah, I have a lot of things that I didn't like. I didn't like the Jarvis jokey thing. I didn't like the fact that Whitney learned to use her powers so fast. I didn't like the malaria thing. I found it was gimmicky, but there were things that I really did like as well. I liked Kirkwood Smith. I liked the little love quadrangle thing going on. I really enjoyed the fact that Whitney came out to her husband, and I really, 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 really loved those flashbacks. Those were amazing. So yeah, overall, I mean, kind of an uneven episode in a way. It's like at the beginning it was just like, I don't really care. But eventually the better things started to happen, and hopefully that means that pace of the last half of the episode or so is going to continue over to the next few episodes, because that's really what I want. Less talking about what we're going to do and more doing. Maybe a bit more action. That would be very interesting. I also really want to see what happens with Wilkes, because I get the feeling that he's not going to last a long time on the show anymore. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, overall, it was a good episode. A bit uneven, but I'll take it. And just for the flashbacks alone, it's worth a watch. Those flashbacks are so great. I can't even state that enough. So I guess that's it for this review. As usual, be sure to visit our website at thegeekypub.com. You will find not only reviews for Agent Carter previous episodes, but also other TV shows, books, movies, games. We have a ton of stuff in there, so be sure to check it out. Visit, browse around, you'll find something you like, I guarantee it. Also, if you want to be notified as soon as we upload a new review, then you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because that's usually where the reviews go up first most of the time. Even before they hit the website, they go up on YouTube. So by subscribing, it will be guaranteed to be notified ASAP whenever we upload anything new. And that's about it from me today. I will see you guys in my next review. Bye!